Hello YouTube friends, welcome back to Cody Tarot. I'm your tarot reader, Cody. So for today's pick a card, we have a very interesting one. I just did a pick a card recently about what a person thinks of you or what another person's opinion of you is. So now I'm going to be doing like a general kind of reading of like what makes you hot, what makes you attractive to, you know, the people that you want to attract into your life. What is your like best features, so to say. So we're going to be covering a little bit. I want to try to get into some actual physical features as well, but we're mainly going to be covering like psychological features and things that people find really attractive about your personality that kind of make you irresistible to them. So we have 6 piles in front of us today. Our first group is the Citrine. Our second group is the Snakeskin Agate. Our third group is this blue Kyanite. Our fourth group is this Chrysoprase. Our fifth group is the Smokey Quartz. And our last group, our sixth group, is the Chevron Amethyst sphere circular thing. I think it's called a Cabicon. Cabicon? Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know how you pronounce that. All right. So with that said, you have 6 groups to choose from. Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4, Group 5, Group 6. You can take all the time you need to pick your crystal. You can pause the video here if you need to. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to pick your crystal. Whatever way works for you is the way that gets you the best reading, is the way that works for you, is the way that you're going to work and do it. Oh my gosh, my brain. Anyway, sometimes it helps to take a deep breath in and then exhale and then open your eyes and see what crystal's there and then pick from there. Anyway, I'm going to get started with the first pile, group number 1 with the Citrine. Hey, group 1, this is if you picked the Citrine crystal. So let's get into your reading. So I pre-drew some tarot cards and or oracle cards, and I'll get into those in a little bit, but right now I'm going to draw some tarot cards for your reading. I'm not taking reversals, by the way, so we have 5, so I'll take all 5. Cool. And we're going to flip over the last card right here, which was 77, Spirituality. Interesting. So these are the attributes that make you attractive. We have Yang over here. We have the Bully for the archetype card, Electric Eel Spirit for the animal spirit card, and Spirituality for the numerology guidance card. Your tarot cards are 2 of Cups, Ace of Swords, 3 of Swords, 7 of Pentacles, and Ace of Wands. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. So let's get into it. So first we'll start with the Bully card, because this is probably the card that looks the most negative on the surface, but is not totally, completely that negative. We have Bully light attributes. Highlights your tendency to intimidate others, helps you confront the inner fears that bully you. This is something quite interesting because, first of all, with highlights your tendency to intimidate others, this just shows that you're very like physically attractive to other people, or there's something about your personality that seems strong and almost independent. So what do I mean by that? When people meet you, they're immediately, like, a lot of people immediately shy away from you because you have such a big personality. You have such a strong personality. Your personality is very dominant. We have that again here with the Yang energy instead of Yin energy, which means it's forceful, projecting, kind of going out and getting what you need. You're not the type to just sit back and let things come into your life. You're a very active, attractive person to people around you. So something else that is interesting about you, I'm definitely seeing that you're probably the one that initiates your relationships. So that's something people find very attractive about you. The fact that like you're always initiating relationships with them and you're kind of the one saying like, hey, I want you to be my friend. I want you to be the one in my life, you know? That's something that's really interesting, is that people are just kind of intimidated by you. That's like one of the first things that's coming through, is that, you know, in a way, some people could be even a little scared of you, but even those people are a little excited by your energy because you have such an intense, palpable energy. It's almost as if they're like a little nervous, like what you're gonna say, you know, what are you gonna do? There's kind of like this nervousness that you kind of engender in them. It's almost like a mix of being like nervous and butterflies in the stomach. You know, like they have butterflies around you and they're just kind of like, it's almost like an attraction that's so palpable and so intense that it's almost intimidating. It's almost like forceful in its approach, you know? Some people are really attracted to that feature in you. And then you also have electric eel spirit, bring your ideas to life. There's a quality about you that's actually kind of electric. Like you have this kind of energetic current running through you where you're kind of on this level of, like you have a very seductive like sex appeal is basically what I'm trying to say. And it's kind of electric. It permeates your whole body. You kind of have a rhythm or a current running through you that kind of creates this kind of like energy, the sense of energy and like passion. We see passion again here with the Ace of Wands, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But you have this passion about you, and with Bring Your Ideas to Life, you're not afraid to take something that you've thought of or that someone else has thought of and make that dream a reality. And that's something else that people find really attractive about you. With Yang, this just shows that you have a more forceful nature. You have more of an active go-getter nature. You're probably more of a doer than a thinker, and you probably really enjoy making things happen for yourself and other people. That's something that people really appreciate about you. With spirituality over here, this is interesting because on one hand, people could think you're such maybe more of a pragmatic personality or more of a active, realistic type individual. But spirituality here is quite interesting. You're actually in tune with your spiritual side quite a bit. And we have 77, and 7's reminding me of like lucky number 7. So there might be something about you that like when you get focused on your spirituality, you can attract a lot of luck into your life. So the people that know you or connect with you on a spiritual level, these will be friends and associates that I feel like that when you're like normally interacting with people, you don't really talk to too many people about your spiritual side. You're kind of keep that to yourself, except with like close friends who you openly, who are spiritual as well, and you openly can share that connection. And that's something that's like interesting here, is that with those close friends, they see you as a very spiritual person. They see you as someone who, once you tap into your spirituality, luck and abundance just follows you wherever you go. You also pick the Citrine, which is considered the lucky merchant stone. So think of someone who's more of like a businessman or a successful business type worker and stuff, creating like luck through their business. That's something that the Citrine stone also provides. But with the spirituality card, I'm just saying that your friends see how your luck and your spirituality kind of intermingles with your life once you get close with them and you start talking to them about those things. Like I said, not everyone's going to see this. I feel like most people see this kind of attitude of intimidation from you, where they're kind of like nervous to kind of approach you, nervous to kind of talk to you. You give off this kind of like electricity in the room that kind of creates this palpable, romantic, energetic feel to it. So I don't know if you can hear that. That's the lawnmower going off, but usually people can't hear the stuff in the background, so I'm going to just keep going with the reading for this one. Apologies if it's loud. Yeah, something else that happens with you is with the Two of Cups, the people that are close with you are really like, how do I put this? They really find you to be a very intimate, connected person in your close relationship. So when people actually get closer with you, they find you to be actually really sweet, really caring, really considerate of the needs of others. You're actually the type of person who doesn't just steamroll their opponents, doesn't just bulldoze down whoever's in their way. You know, you actually take the time to have the care and concern for the people in your life. The people that are close with you, again, with the spirituality, I feel like the closer people get with you, the more they like you. It's just this paradox, right? Where you have this intimidating front to you. And that's like really quite interesting here, because a lot of people are afraid to get close to you because they're like have this fear about you. They have this kind of like fear or scaredness of like, that actually, I feel like the people who get close to you are more in love with you on like a romantic, feeling-based level, where the people who are seeing you from afar have a more like a sexual attraction to you, or are more attracted to your electric, chemical kind of like appeal that you have. With Ace of Swords, this is just showing that you always come out victorious, that no matter what project, no matter what endeavor, no matter what situation in your life, you come out victorious. You're always on top, you're always a winner, you're always like achieving the status or recognition that you need to achieve to get where you need to go in life. Yeah, with the Ace of Wands, we're also seeing this passionate side to you as well. And with Ace of Swords and Ace of Wands, you have kind of like this mercurial energy, which is also a forceful, impactful energy as well. You almost could be an earth sign, but there's definitely some underlying airy and fiery like traits to your personality that like really push you through and make you a dynamic person to be reckoned with. Yeah, people find all of this very exciting about you, very attractive about you. With the Ace of Wands especially, there's a lot of passion with this personality, with your personality, that people are finding this passionate side to you very, very attractive. Now we get into some interesting things right here, where we have the Three of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles. The Seven of Pentacles and the Three of Swords like indicates your ability to kind of heal wounds in a longer term fashion. There's something here about the Three of Swords. There's something that's deep within you that like is a kind of a hurt or an experience from the past that is a wound or some kind of, I wouldn't say trauma. It could be a trauma, but for the most part, it's just some kind of accumulated hurt that has happened to you probably when you were younger, where you've kind of like held on to it. This, in a weird paradoxical fashion, makes you attractive to people. People see the fact that you have been through it. With this bully card, it's interesting. Even though you're such a strong and dominant personality, you have a sense of an inner victimhood about you. There's something about you that makes you kind of like likable, in the sense that people can feel like, especially when people get close to you, you know, people can really see this side of you. And it's almost a side that I would say, you're probably thinking, oh, people that get close to me don't even see this side. It's a side to me that like is not being seen by anyone, right? You're probably thinking like, okay, I don't want to show this side to anyone. And that's true. You probably don't show this side to anyone, but the people close to you can see that this side exists in you. Whether or not you share it or not, they see this kind of hurting that is going on inside. Now, the thing is, don't worry, don't freak out. I know this pile, you probably want to seem tough at all costs, you know, but the thing is, this vulnerability is really what draws people into you. It's unspoken, people don't talk about it, but it's one of those things where people see that human side to you. And the fact that you have that human side, that humanness to your nature, the fact that you can be weak and you can be vulnerable makes you seem really relatable to people. And that's something that's coming through very, very strongly here. With Seven of Pentacles, this is just showing that those weaknesses will get worked on over time and heal over time, but it's going to be taking a long time view to heal those weaknesses, heal those aspects of you that are, going to eventually recover and develop into more of a strength of character, a more of a compass, an internal compass for how things are going to operate and how you're going to direction you're going to move in the world. With Seven of Pentacles, something that makes you really hot is that you save for a rainy day. People kind of are like, whoa, they don't really waste their resources. They don't really spend too frivolously. Like, they're definitely saving up for something that's coming in their future. Man, after this pile, I'm probably gonna have to take a break because that lawnmower, I don't know, is pretty loud. So we'll have to see how loud it is in the video. Anyway, oh, and then it turns off. Isn't that how always the universe works? You know, you ask and you shall receive. Okay, so with the Seven of Pentacles, there's this element where you're just so, like, you save a lot. You save a lot of money, and also you have the long-term view in mind. So you're not just like kind of someone who kind of sits on the sidelines and is like, I'm just going to wait for life to happen to me. Whatever happens, happens. You actually have a plan. You actually have goals. You actually have a focused like projection into the future of what you want everything to be like. Gosh, this Ace of Swords and this Ace of Wands is interesting because with the Seven of Pentacles, you would think that you're the type of person who almost like probably wouldn't start new projects and would just work on what they've already built and like kind of accumulated and work on the long haul for that. But you're not afraid to start new projects. You're not afraid to start new activities, and you start them with a fire and an airy kind of like nature. So you're also using logic and passion to start these creative projects, which is quite interesting. Yeah, there's kind of like a duality or a dichotomy going on here where we have bully and electric eel and yang is kind of like the ideas of like what people see you as a distance. And then people who are closer to you see more your spiritual side and your more intimate connections where you have that one-on-one, heart-to-heart kind of caring nature with your relationships. Very, very cool. Yeah, and whenever I get this electric eel spirit card, that is like a palpable like sexuality or kind of like an electric quality that makes people kind of like, oh my gosh, that is hot. You know, they're kind of like really into that. So that's really good for you as well. You've got a lot going on for you, pile one. Definitely. You're a very strong personality. You go out, you get what you need, you get what you like want in the world, you take what you need. At the same time, you're not afraid to start projects. You have a human side to you. You're not just a robot that does. You have a human side to you that people can see. So if you're ever nervous about appearing like a robot or appearing kind of like too much like someone who just like kind of like operates on this kind of physical plane, that's not true. First of all, you know that with the spirituality because you have close friends that you talk to about spiritual concepts with and spiritual things too. So you know that you're not like that. First of all, I want to make that clear for you because some of you out there might be thinking like, oh, maybe I'm just this kind of like machine. You're not a machine. You have the spirituality that you speak with close friends. And on top of that, that inner feelings, those deep inner emotions, people can sense those pains in you, those kind of hidden hurts. And that really brings out some truth into the connections that you have and brings out some kind of like empathy in others for you. Wow, what a cool reading. All right, well, if you like that reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like that reading, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I post pick-a cards like this once every 1 to 2 weeks. Yeah, with that said, I enjoyed reading for you. It was lovely to have you here with us today. And I'm going to move on now to group number 2 with the Snakeskin Agate. Hey, group number 2 with the Snakeskin Agate. Welcome to your reading. All right, so I drew all the oracle cards out first before I turn the camera on today, and then I'm going to draw the tarot cards on camera. So let me draw your tarot cards right now. Oh, we have this card come out again. That came out in the last group. We have 3 of Pentacles. And let's see, I'm gonna have to draw the last cards. Let's do that. And flip that one over. I'm not taking reversals today, just so you know. We have the Moon. We have the Ace of Cups. Very cool. Very, very cool. Okay, let me make sure all these things are in the camera. Okay, let me take a look at this and we'll start your reading. Okay, let's get into your reading. So first I'll pull with the healer card. We'll start with the healer card. So healer card says, passion to serve others by repairing the body, mind, and spirit. Ability to help transform pain into healing. This is something that is really prominent in your personality and that people are really attracted to, is your natural ability to heal, and not just heal, but with the Ace of Cups here, we have this element of like, look at the Ace of Cups where the card is kind of overflowing with water. It's just bursting with water, and you have this dove. There's this peaceful kind of like democratic air you release into situations where you kind of have this, how do I put this? You give off like an aura, and like in your actions as well, where like you kind of help people lighten their load. Like everyone feels lighter around you. They feel kind of like heavenly, I guess is the best way to put it. And that's something that they find really attractive about you. Certain people who like this energy are going to find you really attractive because there's certain people who have like a heaviness to them, or they have something about like, how do I put this? They have kind of like a heavier side to themselves of their nature, and they're going to really like this because you're kind of lightening their emotions, lightening their mood. So you'll probably notice as this healer person that as you go through your life, people around you just seem to be happier, right? Or you might talk to people and you might be confused by some people's perceptions of the world, because some people might be like, everyone's mean, everyone's cruel, people are miserable, all this stuff. And you're like, no, people are not. But that's because you're carrying the vibe with you. You carry the vibe of the beautiful world with you when you're interacting with the world. So the world just seems beautiful around you all the time because you're the one carrying the vibe. So, and that's something that people find attractive about you, is the fact that you have this vibe. You have this ability to kind of exude this emotional kind of energy. We have 3 cup cards, and we also have the moon card. I would not be surprised if you're a water sign, specifically a more gentle water sign, or a water sign with kind of like, more of a peaceful nature, a water sign with more of a peaceful nature. I'm definitely saying that you could be like a Scorpio as well, but the thing is you're not the type of Scorpio that's really intense or aggressive or like hypersexual or anything like that. You have a very soft and delicate nature to your personality. So it's quite interesting how this operates. With mending, we also see that not only do you have this aura, right? Not only do you have this aura where you're just like making people around you feel like happy, fulfilled, lighthearted, all that good stuff, but you have the mending card. And this, I think, is the final card in the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. And it is really about like conclusions as well. And it's also about, you also have happy ending over here. It's also about a conclusion. But with mending, it's all about like mending things in people's lives. And this could range from anything. Like, mending on one hand could range from like helping them fix a product that they have, maybe a toy. Like if you're mending a child's toy, maybe their toy broke, and so that kid looks up to you because this toy broke. Or maybe like a friend of yours like is having issues with their car and you help them fix their car, something like that. You have a way with and that's technology. Those examples are just about technology. But what I'm seeing here is that there's also examples of like psychological healing, where you're digging into a person's soul or mind, or like helping them deal with mending traumas or something in their life. That's coming through really strong. This card came out in the last group, this 2 of Cups card, and it just indicates that people really would love to be on a one-on-one connection with you, one-on-one relationship with you. People find that you're actually really committed to your relationships over the long haul, that you actually really stick with the relationships that are in your life. You definitely take the time to like make people feel valued and connected in kind of like the present moment, and make them feel like they can have many more moments to come with you. With this 3 of Pentacles energy, you're an excellent team player, and especially you know how to work in the practical realms with relative ease, especially in a team. And I say team because it can really imply any kind of group environment. So you can really get on and do practical things as long as the group's doing practical things. That's something that's coming through really strongly here, is the fact that like, as soon as the group starts working, you're working. As soon as the group starts building an activity, you're building an activity. And you're really good at getting other people to join in these activities as well. You definitely have more of like a team player mindset to your personality that kind of like really gets everyone kind of like working and collaborating in one kind of environment. Yeah, it's amazing. It's quite amazing with the healer and the mending card coming out. That's like double confirmation, and it's just further emphasized by this rhino spirit, overcome any obstacle. Really, no matter what the obstacle in this person's life, no matter what trauma they've been through, no matter what difficulty, you find a way to help heal them. And that's something that's really, really beautiful about your personality, is with overcome any obstacle, you literally overcome any type of obstacle in your healing mission and in the fact that you can heal others. It's really quite amazing. It's interesting because I think that a lot of people find this like kind of shocking about you at first, but also kind of endearing in the long run, is that like when you start to heal someone, when you're like healing a person, you literally run towards them like a rhino and charge them. And then they kind of like, that's how you heal them. You can kind of take it direct, like head on, like this is it. This is the issue. We're going to fix it. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And you really take that kind of like attitude or that mindset when you're healing people. So it's interesting. I do see like with the mending thing, you can really just help people out with different task that they need done, different like certain things here and there that they need help with. But as far as like healing the psychological stuff, you're direct into the point, and you really get down in people's business when it comes to that. And I think at first it throws them back. They're kind of like, whoa, what is this person doing? Like they're so like up in my stuff and my psychology and stuff. And it's funny because it's such an interesting contradiction to your natural like peaceful aura that you possess, that you kind of make people around you feel really relaxed, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, you have this thing and we're gonna deal with it, you know? Or like, and I'm not saying this so much as like, how do I put this? I'm not saying this as so much as something that happens on the day to day, but when someone's having an issue or they're coming to you and talking to you about things, you're definitely head on and direct with them. You're definitely like, okay, we're gonna fix this. This is the issue. We're gonna get down and fix this and make this okay. You know, and people are just like shocked by that, because I feel like when most people complain about their issues to someone, they're looking for kind of like commiseration or something along the lines of like sympathy. But no, you actually get down and you work with this person on their problem. You work with this person and fix what's going on with them. Yeah, very, very cool. It's like you have this kind of like peaceful vibe around you. So everyone around you is always like happy, singing, loving, caring, all this kind of stuff. But then on top of it, with the Rhino spirit, you really know how to dig into someone's personality and get the kind of results you're looking for as far as like that healing mentality goes. We have also confirmation like right below the Rhino spirit with the Moon, the Knight of Cups, and the Ace of Cups. There is this element where it's like with the Knight of Cups and the Ace of Cups, the Knight of Cups is you. We'll put this Knight of Cups as you, and the Moon is in the middle. But the Ace of Cups is the universe. If you look at this hand, it's coming out of a cloud. So think of this as divine inspiration and you bringing your own inspiration into the picture. You're the type of person that knows that life is one part what you bring to the table and one part what the universe is bringing to the table. And that's really beautiful, because what we see here is with the Moon card is this is kind of like your spiritual core. If you're the type of person, and I don't know if you've worked with the Moon like yet, but working with the Moon, it could be highly beneficial for you, in the Moon cycles and Moon manifestation and Moon magic. All that stuff could be very beneficial for you. It's interesting because we have two animals right here, and we have on one hand on the left the dog, which is the kind of like the tame animal, and then on the other hand we have this kind of coyote, or this, I don't know if it's a wolf, it looks like a coyote to me, which is kind of a wild animal. And they're very similar, and that's kind of something that's interesting that people notice about you, is that you're very similar to these divine things. Like the dog correlates with the Knight of Cups, and then the coyote would correlate with the Ace of Cups. People notice that you have kind of a divine nature to you, that there's something like mystical about you. There's something, I don't know how to put it. It's hard to put into words, but it's something that you have like the hand of God. Like you could be the type of person who could be like a minister or a spiritual advisor. You could even be a tarot reader. You could be, we already know you're a healer, but you could work very well in the mystical realms as well as just the practical aspects of healing people. Yeah, and with the Moon card, there is kind of a mysteriousness about you, and it gets created by this combination effect, right? On one hand, you're bringing your energy to the table. On the other hand, the universe has your back. They're helping you, they're guiding you, they're aiding you along the way, and it creates this Moon kind of mystery or illusionary nature to your personality, and people like find that part the most attractive out of everything. They see this, they see that you're helping people, you're bringing the message, you're helping people with these kind of like, these things with their like inner nature and stuff like that. And with the Ace of Cups, we also have that like they know the universe is helping you. They know you're blessed by divine forces, that you're very lucky in that regard, and that the universe is helping you through these things. What they don't know is that these two factors in combination is what creates the mystery and the illusion that is so appealing to people. People want to look in deep. They want to get in closer. They want to find out more. They're really into this personality that you present to the world. And it's interesting because I definitely see that sometimes it might even seem like you're not presenting much of a personality, right? All we know is that people around you are more cheerful, happier, more self-expressive around you. And we know that you can kind of get in deep and dig into someone's problems and issues and really get the results you're looking for. But for the most part, what we don't see is like the qualities of like an exuberant personality of you yourself. And so that might be something that's interesting with you too, is you might seem a little, how do I put this? You might seem a little, not dynamic or like unemotional or something like that. And the moon card just shows that it creates this sense of mystery where people want to know more. They're like, how is this all happening around them? How is this all happening with them? How is this all happening like with this person or around this person? Smart people are really going to want to get to know you. If you're like thinking about the people who are attracted to you and you're like, wow, certain people are really attracted to me and I don't know why, it's because they see something special in you. And that special quality is what makes you really, really hot to others. With happy ending here, this is going to be the last card that I'm going to get into. This is just something that makes people feel like there's going to be a positive conclusion to when everything's said and done. They feel like there's going to be a positive ending to everything that is going on with you and everything that you tell them or help heal them, you know? They feel like they've reached a happier ending after they've met you. 9 and 3 adds up to 9 and 3 adds up to 12, and 12 adds up to 3, right? So there's an aspect of abundance, right? That you make people feel like there's like this kind of like abundance force that's working with them. And we see that again here with the Ace of Cups, where the universe is actually helping you out, but the universe is also helping them out, right? The universe is also helping everyone else out. It's interesting with the 3 of Pentacles here too. I really want to go back and reiterate this. There's this aspect that you work really well in a team environment, that if you don't already work with a team or with a group of people, you're such a team player that it is actually going to be beneficial for you to work on a team, especially a team of like-minded people. Like-minded people are going to be really drawn into working with you and you working with them. And there's going to be a mutual reciprocity that you're going to find working with these like-minded people who are really going to, how do I put this? They'll also kind of like give you a leg up in the world too. Like I think that working with some like-minded people will help you get promoted and stuff like that. Just a little fun side fact. But yeah, with this Knight of Cups, this is also about bringing in a message. And that's very interesting here with the moon and the message from the universe. You're bringing in your own message and the universe is bringing in their message, and that combination of your personal message and the universal message creates that intuition, that mystery, that intrigue about your personality that kind of gets that charisma that brings people to you. So I really enjoyed reading for you today. You're such a very interesting, unique individual. I'm definitely seeing why a lot of people find you attractive. Like there's a lot going on for you for this pile that I can see like why people find you really beautiful and attractive. So if you like that reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like this reading, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I post pick a cards like this once every 1 to 2 weeks. With that said, we're going to move on to the third group with the blue Kyanite. Thank you guys. Hey group 3, this is if you picked the blue Kyanite right here. So very cool stone. So I have all the oracle cards pre-drawn for this reading, and I'm going to shuffle the tarot cards on camera today. So let's get some cards for group. Oh, wow. We have some cards already flipping out. Put that one there. We have another card right here. Have this card for right here, and then we're gonna need one more card. Wow, the cards are flipping out for you today. Oh, interesting. We got the 10 of, oh, with that card, cool. Okay, so let's see. Let's put out all the cards right here. One we have to flip over is right here. We have the Page of Wands. A lot of wands I'm noticing, even in the Hermit has a wand, and there's just a few wands kind of in this reading. Okay, let's get into your reading. First, let's start with the Avenger card. We have the Avenger card here, and it says, desire to balance the scales of justice, righteousness on behalf of society or oneself. And that's interesting compared up here with the 6 of Pentacles card. There is this element that your personality is very egalitarian. Like you always want things to be fair and equal amongst all parties. That's something that's coming through very, very strongly. And you actually make active attempts to make sure that happens for people. Yeah, with the 2 of Pentacles, Two of Wands card, with the World card here and him facing this guy with the kind of like, attitude of like looking at the world and looking out over the horizon with this guy over here. You're very much concerned of the equality of all those around you. You definitely make active attempts, humanitarian attempts, to kind of like make sure that the people around you are doing well or like living their best life. You're definitely the type of person that not only helps people through these things, you're actually a strong motivator and coach to have them do better for themselves and also to take care of themselves as well. Yeah, especially with Avenger here, this is kind of an attitude of helping others and making sure that justice is served. As you know, with this saying righteousness on behalf or sense of scales of justice, it's interesting they say scales of justice, because in this car we also have the scales here, that this man's holding the scales. So if you think of this with the fact that he has the righteousness on behalf of society or oneself, there is an element here that you're definitely making sure that everyone's basically treated fairly. That the scales are always in balance. This is very much a sign of like a very well-developed Libra personality. Libra personalities are very much focused on the balance and equality of all people and all individuals. But it's interesting. You also know with Between Worlds that it takes some time to get to this position. So with Between Worlds is an interesting card, because if you notice this, this flamingo has two different environments that they're both in, and they're moving from one environment to the next. They're kind of moving from a more gray, cloudless environment to a more colorful environment. There's something about you where it's like, as you go through life, you're always developing and building more color into your life. And this could range from anything from how you dress, to the activities you do, to your personality, how much your personality shines through. It's as if you started the world coming out as this black and white, kind of grayish character. It's kind of boring or uninteresting person. And as you develop through life, you get more and more interesting every single year. There's something about you that has an evolutionary aspect to your personality. And that's something people find really, really attractive about you, is that you kind of have this evolving sense to yourself. You're never in the same place twice. You're always kind of constantly evolving. We see here with Turtle Spirit, slow and steady wins the race. This also applies to the methods in which you evolve, in which you like go through life. You're kind of building up slowly and surely from one brick upon another brick. And you're sort of building this, not just a foundation, but you're building kind of like a giant structure that over time, I think you'll be able to look back on your life and see that you've built this incredible thing. You're the type of person that people are going to find you hotter the older you get. So I would say that like when you're younger, you're not going to have that many potential partners, but as you get older, more and more people will find you attractive because you're slowly becoming more attractive. And you're kind of always building upon yourself. You're always becoming more attractive, basically. With Page of Wands, this is something that's coming through really strongly. People love your sense of style. They love the fact that you have a sense of style, that you can dress very well, that you dress well for your body and stuff. And with Page of Wands here, it's interesting because we're also seeing an element of like a beginner type mind or a beginning mind. And we also over here have new beginnings. There's a lot about you starting fresh and working within that evolutionary cycle. So for example, you might be building from kind of like a gray or dull place and moving into a more colorful realm. But there's also this aspect of, as you keep working on yourself and building yourself, you slowly start to begin new projects and add that into your repertoire of your personality and the foundation of who you are. You're kind of constantly adding that to yourself. We definitely see here in the Hermit and with the Page of Wands kind of looking at each other, it's kind of this element of like, this page with the new beginnings aspect, there's kind of a couple symbolism, a little bit of symbolism here. The page is a younger person, right? And the Hermit is an older person, and they both have staves and they're both looking at each other. And it's interesting. It's almost as if with the grayness of the Hermit card, how he's kind of gray and boring drab, and the page is in the colorful outfits. There's a lot of symbolism here of the fact that when you were younger, you were probably much more mature for your it's kind of like a Benjamin Button story. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that movie where he's born an old man and then he grows up to be a kid. It's kind of one of those situations where on one hand, when you were really young, you had this kind of wisdom about you where you almost like knew everything, or you had this kind of like, I wouldn't say a know-it-all attitude, but you seemed very wise. You seemed very in touch with your soul. That's how I could put it with the Hermit card. And you just kind of had this like wisdom and intelligence about you. But as you grow older, it's almost like you get more playful and more youthful as you age. It's kind of interesting how that happens, because most children and stuff, they start out really young, and then they end up kind of old and like worn down by age and wisdom and time and stuff. Not you. You're the type of person who, like, when they were born, they started out kind of like an adult, and they're ending their life as kind of like a child. It's quite interesting how that happens. That's why new beginnings are so important for you, and why people find you so attractive, especially when you're starting new projects. When you start a new project, people are drawn to you like flies to honey. They're drawn to you like flies to honey, because when you're beginning something new, they see that burst of where you're going to like evolve into something better, something more colorful, something more different. You know, you're the type of person who really, truly, you're the type of person where you're like starting out as this kind of like caterpillar, this kind of lowly, boring caterpillar, and you end up as this butterfly. But instead of a transformation happening in a cocoon, it's like a period of different mini transformations that's moving you in from this gray world all the way into the colorful world. That's something that makes you attractive, as well as between worlds is about also being in both at the same time. And that's something that's really interesting, and that makes you very hot to other people, is that you also don't forget your past, and you kind of know where you're going, that you don't forget your past. There's this element where you kind of know both sides of the coin. And that's something that's really attractive to a lot of people, especially people who have more of a childlike temperament or of a more mature temperament. You're kind of like the diplomat for those people. With the scales and rebalancing the scales again, you might actually, with this kind of society focus and taking on the roles of kind of like rebalancing things in society, you might actually be the type of person who balances out things between youth and old age, really likes to take into account the considerations of really young people and really old people, and make sure that their rights are really like preserved. Something that's really like intriguing about you is the thing is, older and younger people are both kind of, they have more of like a weaker mentality, I guess you could say. They're kind of like vulnerable or defenseless, or they don't have anyone to protect them. And you're that type of person who fights for them. That's coming through really strongly. You're not afraid, with the Ten of Swords in reverse, to leave the past behind. And this is actually your most, when you're most attractive, is this Ten of Swords card. And I can explain this right here. It's this guy, honestly, the thing is, think about this man. He's just been burdened with all these thoughts. Each sword represents a thought. He's been stabbed up to 10 times with these different thoughts. At the final point where the thoughts get too much, the anxiety gets too much, the anxiety with the Nine of Swords, the card right before, when the anxiety gets too much, finally he dies, he's dead. That part of him that the thoughts were attacking dies. But the beautiful thing about this is you have this dark sky, but right in the background there, you can see that sunset. You see those blue mountains and that kind of like sunset, or the kind of, it's almost like it's just darkest before the dawn. And that's really cool when it comes out with this new beginnings card, because right when that part of you, that old part of you, finally gets put to rest, and you transform and evolve into this new, brighter version, more childlike version of yourself, that's when people are really drawn to you. You might notice you get a lot of attention at those points in your life. Like, you might notice that, like, when you kind of become or start a new project, or you end something that kind of was weighing you down, and you birth yourself out of that and get that fresh mindset, people are really attracted to you. They just come up to you and they're just kind of like, hey, what's up? What's your name? People might be very social with you at the same time. I see, though, too, that you stay in tune with your wisdom and your old wise soul searching, but you put it to good use in youthful ways. You don't take yourself as seriously as you did when you were a child, it seems like. And with slow and steady wins the race, you're not afraid of growing older. It's almost like because you started out as this kind of like older individual, you know, or this wise individual, you're not afraid of old age at all. It's almost like you've seen the end, you know? You're just working your way back to the beginning, which is the end for you. It's quite interesting. If you haven't seen the movie Benjamin Button, I would highly recommend it, because it's a story about a guy who starts out as an old man and then he grows into a child by the end of his life. Let's see if I can see anything else. One thing that's coming through is one other little side note with the turtle spirit. There's a way with the fins and the fact that this is a sea turtle, you basically swim in the unconscious realms. You work well with the unconscious and kind of mystical areas of life, but also with the hard shell, you have a shell about you where you kind of can withdraw into your shell and be very protective of yourself. Like I said, with the scales, you are not afraid to help out people in disadvantageous situations. And you definitely I think you take practical steps to really help these people in life. A lot of people view this Ten of Swords card as a very dark card, but really it's a very positive card. It means it's finally over. It means whatever was paining you or hurting you or weighing on you, this is a card about the mind and logic, and the swords are all about mind and logic. It means it's kind of like a sense of enlightenment if you think about it, because when the thoughts that are worrying you are building up, even if it's building to something that is seemingly positive, once you get to that point where you give up on the mental process, the mental procedures, the thoughts weighing on you, once you give up, instantly you're relieved and a new thing can come in. It's like once you empty the cup fully, a new thing can come and fill the cup again. And that's something that's really cool about you, is you understand this process that cycles you upwards through your life in this evolutionary process where you become more youthful, more joyful, more charismatic, more stylish, more colorful. Like I said, color is really important here. If you look at this card, Between Worlds, them going from the gray to the color, and you also look at these two cards with the Hermit staring down, kind of like the Page of Wands, you have these two sides to yourself. And people find this really, really attractive about you. There's something about you also where people are just drawn into your wisdom on one hand, but more and more people, like, this is why you're going to become more attractive as you get older. By the time you reach like age 30, 40, 50, people are just going to be drawn to you like flies, because you're going to have this like beautiful, youthful, charismatic like attitude towards the world, and you're going to have like this strong sense of style. You're probably going to dress well. You're probably going to have smart, wise things to say, but it's going to come out in a more playful nature. And so it really, like, as you grow up, you're going to attract more people to you. If you're the type of person, you're watching this now and you're one of my younger viewers and you're like, I'm pretty lonely right now. Like, I don't find anyone is that attractive to me. And, you know, you do relate to being a wise soul or an old soul or something like that. Then you're going to, as time goes on, you're going to become more youthful. You're going to get more attractive. It's really interesting how that happens with this pile particular. Doesn't normally happen for most people like that. A lot of people in life will start out with like everything. You know, they achieve everything in the beginning of their life. You know, they have their talents are recognized early. Everything's recognized early. You know, their beauty's recognized early on. But then as they get older, they kind of lose it, and they kind of don't. It's almost like they lacked almost like the struggle to kind of like achieve what they needed to achieve, or to reach the standing that they want to reach. And what I'm seeing with you is that you build slowly and surely, and you will get there in the long run. You will get there. You will achieve kind of this like wealth of abundance of personality. Very cool. I think that's about it for your reading. So if you like the reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like this reading, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. We're always welcoming new subscribers here. And it was lovely to read for you. Thank you for coming into one of my readings. I'm now going to move on to the fourth group with the Chrysoprase. Hey, group 4, this is if you picked the Chrysoprase right there. That is your stone that you have selected. Welcome to your reading. It always falls over, but I like to angle it like this because then you can see the green. So we'll try to hope that stays balanced. Okay, so for your reading, I already pre-drew the Oracle cards, and I'm actually going to shuffle the tarot cards on camera today. So we're going to shuffle the tarot cards now okay. So you know I'm not taking reversals, so... oh my God. Okay, this is interesting. Wow. And I was seeing this with the Child Eternal card. Okay, so the group right before you had kind of like an interesting dichotomy with the Page of Wands and the Hermit. And so far, I'm seeing it similar in this group. It's just interesting that it popped out twice, the same two cards in a row. Yeah, we'll get into it. I think there's going to be more to the story, but we'll see. We'll look into it. And then your last card is Synchronicity. Yeah, this is definitely showing up slightly different for this reading than it was in the previous reading. Wow. Okay, so let's get into your reading. There's a lot to unpack here. So first we'll start with Child Eternal. So the first thing about Child Eternal is we have determination to remain young in body, mind, and spirit, ability to see things with fresh eyes. If you want to, I would recommend watching the Blue Kyanite group because they have an interesting, like, similar themes to their life, but it's like played out in different ways. Like, for example, I'm going to get into these cards really quickly because they have these cards as well, but it's definitely very different for this group. So with determination to remain young in body, mind, and spirit, ability to see things with fresh eyes, there is this aspect about you with Child Eternal where you are always valuing your childhood. No matter what happened when you were young, you value it. We have here the Page of Wands, which is one of the youthful court cards, and we also have the Hermit, who's a wise old man. And the wise old man, if you've noticed, is shining a light over to the Page of Wands, and the Page of Wands is looking up at this light, and the Hermit is looking down. I don't know if you can see that. Like, he's looking down, and the Page of Wands is looking up. There is this element that these two sides of your nature, on one hand, the older you get, the more you look back to your childhood to remember things that are, how do I put this? To remember things that are important to you. You look back on your childhood with the Page of Wands here represented by all these bright, colorful clothing. You really are the type of person who values your memories, values your childhood, values how you grew up, the house that you were raised in and stuff like that. You really build a strong system of values based on that. And what I'm seeing here is that makes you really, really hot and attractive to people because people are like, wow, they really like value their past. They really value where they've come from. And it almost seems like this well of experience or information that you can you almost can rely on to determine where things are going and where things kind of have been coming from, basically. Yeah, it's almost like your inspiration with the Hermit shining the light on the Page of Wands. Your inspiration comes from your youth. Your inspiration comes from your past. So your childhood was probably very, very important to you, and you look back on it with fond memories. There's a song, and one of the lines in the song, I think it's a Noizu song, it's an EDM song, and one of the songs is, you may or may not like EDM, but the line in the song is, I didn't realize I was in the moment until it was a memory. And that's very, very true for you. You kind of build up your ability to live in the present based on the fact that you had all these wonderful experiences in the past. And the past might not even, I mean, maybe they weren't totally wonderful experiences, but the point is with this light, this star, you learned from them. And the kind of thing is with this is that the Child Eternal, you are determined to remain youthful, almost in body, mind, and spirit. And ability to see things with fresh eyes is really important because that's kind of how you were as a child. That's kind of how you saw things as a child. So you're always trying to remember and be that type of person. Something also that's really interesting and very attractive about you with the Emperor here is there's this ability for you to really create structure and order in your life. So it's interesting. You might think that if you're kind of this eternal child, or if you have this kind of like ability to always look back on your youth with fresh eyes and look back at your youth with kind of like a romantic lens, that you might be a little scattered, or you might be a little childish or disordered in your daily life, kind of like a kid who's kind of like messy and spills things and stuff like that. But with the Emperor card right here, we see that you're very ordered and structured. You're very efficient at planning things and keeping that order into your life. You actually might be a very good leader. You might actually be able to lead groups very, very well. An interesting dynamic with this Emperor card, where it's not just the fact that you're ordered and structured, and you make things happen by a plan, but with Dream the World into Being, this is your power move, and this is what really draws people into you. When you share your fantasies, when you share your dreams, and when you share what you want the world to be like, or when you share how you want things to appear or to seem or to be different, that is your power move. Because we're always looking at our childhood and seeing the world as it happened to us, when you go into this future mode mindset with Dream the World into Being, there's kind of this element that no matter what dreams you have, they're valid and worth it. So this is you're the type of person too who you might have really interesting, colorful dreams. And if you actually share your dreams with others, people might actually be inspired or they might be inspired to change the world. It's almost as if your words have an impact on the reality around you. So for example, with Dream the World into Being, you might share some of your dreams, your visions, your ideas for a better future, and people around you are going to really listen to those and act on them. And that's something that people find really attractive about you, because people do view you as a visionary. As much as you focus on the past and you focus on keeping the past prevalent and alive, people view you as a visionary in the sense that like what your ideas are actually very relevant to the times that you live in, and the fact that you almost like learn from the past. You not only view the past as like a romantic time in your life and something that was wonderful, but you're also learning from the past. You analyze the past. With the Hermit card, it's like the soul searching is pointed towards the past. So you're searching your soul for these things in the past, and people see that about you, see that you are very connected to history and things that have happened and come before you. You're very ordered and structured. You provide a lot of security to people. They find that very, very attractive. And also with Dream the World into being, your ideas and the things you think of that, like, how do I put this? It's almost like the dreams you share actually can kind of create your reality around you. We see here an interesting thing with this card with synchronicity and the Five of Pentacles right here, where the people are suffering out in the cold, and the church is lit up and warm, but they're out in the cold, they're injured and stuff. We have synchronicity. Something that people find very attractive about you is you are a pure reflection of the suffering of the times. So what do I mean by that? When you're suffering, when you're in a state of disharmony, or when you're in a state of, how do I put this? It's almost like when you suffer, everyone in the world is suffering. That's another thing with Dream the World into Being, is that when you're in pain, it's usually because the world is in pain. You have this kind of like symbiotic relationship with the world around you, where if the world is suffering, you're also suffering. If you're dreaming things into the world, it changes the actual things in the world. You have the ability to actually change the world by sharing your dreams, but also you're feeling the world at the same time. And you have to remember with this pile, I think it's important to remember that it is a two-way street. I don't want to get too much into advice here, because this is what makes you hot. And what makes you hot is the fact that you share in the sorrows of your fellow man, everyone around you. You're kind of this kind of egalitarian type person who kind of like, you know, when people come to you with like problems and stuff, you're like, yeah, I'm feeling that too. It's because of this and this and this in the world, and we're all experiencing this, and that's why we're suffering. And that's where the synchronicity card comes into play, because you're going to find a lot of synchronistic experiences happening with your life and the world around you. So when the world is doing really well, you'll find synchronistically that you're also doing really well. Remember, this is not just experiences like synchronicity suggests, but Dream the World into Being means that you can actually control these things that are happening. You can actually affect the world by your dreams. And that's something that the cards are urging you to remember, and something that actually is one of your big power moves in making you attractive, right? You have the ability to kind of analyze what you've been through with the Page of Wands and the Hermit pointing towards it, and kind of create a future that's better based on the past, or even preserving the traditions of the past. Even if your dreams are just parts of the past that are beautiful to you, you're able to preserve those parts of the past and bring them into the future with a sense of like romanticism, because you know when you experience them that they brought you such joy and positive moments and positive memories. One thing you're not afraid of is celebrating changes. If there's something that's coming with the change, a change in the wind is interesting, because if there's some kind of change that's going on in your life, with the Four of Wands here, you definitely, first of all, the Four of Wands by itself, you love celebrations, you love parties, you're really lighthearted, you have a carefree attitude towards things, and people really love that about you. They love the fact that you're kind of just like, you want to have a good time. There's no better way to put it. And people like that. They like the fact that you laugh easily, you share your positive emotions freely, people around you feel united into kind of like one group. And that's really, really cool. A change in the wind is interesting because it also shows that you're very adaptable, that no matter which way the wind's flowing, no matter which way the wind's blowing, you have this kind of adaptability to you where you kind of wait for the right moment to act. And I can definitely see that, like, this might be something, since it's the last thing we got to in the reading, this might be something that is you're working on right now, or you're growing as part of yourself right now, but you're not afraid to wait for the right moment. And that's something that's really, really cool here. You're not afraid to adapt to changes as well. It's interesting. We have a zebra here, and the thing is, it says a zebra can't change its stripes, or that's kind of the expression that's coming to mind. But at the same time, you can adapt to situations. So even though you can't change who you are, you can't change the type of person you are, you still are able to adapt to situations in a very effective way. Yeah, it's interesting how this paired up compared to the last group, because the last group, it's almost like they're growing from wisdom into kind of like a more youthful persona. This group, interestingly enough, you're growing from a more like a youthful nature into a more wise nature, into a more intelligent nature. So it's almost like a backwards version of the last group, to be interestingly enough. Yeah, just remember that, like, it's interesting that these two are on opposite sides of the spectrum. There's the suffering and the celebration. I definitely see these as kind of like polar things. On one hand, you have the people welcoming you from the distance, ready to celebrate. And on the other hand, you're very aware and in tune with these people who are suffering and the world that's suffering. So remember that you do have that dichotomy to your nature. There isn't just all fun and games, and there isn't just all suffering. There is a combination of both. There is a back and forth with both, right? A change in the wind can also represent the fact that, like, when you least expect it, when you're suffering the most, a positive change can happen, a celebration can happen, a positive activity can happen that kind of picks you back up off your feet again, you know? And it's kind of like, sometimes the positivity, we want to try to hold on to it. And something that's really like attractive about you is that you know how to appreciate it when it's there. When it comes into your life, you appreciate it. And when it leaves, you know how to also empathize and have these synchronistic experiences with others who are also suffering. You have that kind of back and forth nature to your personality where you understand the highs and the lows. And that's something that people find very attractive about you. Wonderful. I love reading for this pile. It was like very interesting personality. There's so much we can learn from the past, and I think more people can pay attention to that. Anyway, so if you like the reading, please like or comment below. If you really enjoyed this reading, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. We're always welcoming new subscribers here at Cody Tarot. With that said, we're going to move on to the fifth group with the Smokey Quartz. Hey, group 5, this is if you picked the Smokey Quartz point right here. So let's get into your reading. I pre-drew the oracle cards for you. Some of the cards that came up right were Treasure Island and Poet, while the other two we still have to flip over. But let's get into drawing your tarot cards right now and see what makes you hot. And we need one more. Okay. All right, let's flip over all your cards. Let's make sure all of them are. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, I'm not taking reversals, so we'll flip all these upright. Let's flip over. The Lion Spirit, be generous of spirit. And we have self-love, and we also have the Tower. Wow. So I am very happy to have you on my channel. Wow, thank you for coming to this reading. There are some very beautiful and wonderful and magical things about you as a person that we're going to be getting into today. So you're definitely hot. You're definitely a hottie. And the cool thing about that is you're hot in a way that has like a mystical quality to you, or almost like a spiritual quality. I'm going to explain it in just a minute, but let's get into it. So first of all, with Poet, we have this idea of expressing soul insights in symbolic language. One of the things that's here is the fact that, like, first of all, we want to target this card right down for the base of the reading. For the High Priestess, if you doubt this or you don't think you are, there is something about you, strong intuition vibes. There's something about you that knows how to reach deep within your unconscious mind or your subconscious mind and pull out direct insights from, the realm, I guess you could call it. This could be the spirit realm. This could be anything of like any kind of psychic awareness. This could be from you hearing like voices in your head that are helping you along, or this could be getting images in your mind. This could be coming from quiet reflective periods where you really experience certain things. Basically, you have super psychic and intuitive gifts. And that's one thing that makes you hot, is people are very aware of how psychic and intuitive you are. You help people with these gifts in a way with the poet where it says express soul insights in symbolic language. So it's interesting because the poet's giving me hermit vibes, right? Normally you would get the poet with kind of like a hermit personality. But what we're seeing here with the high priestess, this highly intuitive person, something about your words and how you express your words based on like your intuition and your kind of like core belief system, I guess you could say, or your core understanding of like the beliefs of like the world and yourself and your environment and stuff. There's just something about, I don't even want to say beliefs, there's something intangible about what you express that people actually can like understand in this kind of like symbolic way. Yeah, these are going to be symbols, and what people find really attractive about you is you express these symbols and symbolism with like an unerring accuracy to the human depth of character, the human nature of people, basically. And people really relate to that. They're like, whoa, this person is blowing my mind with their words. How are they so like in tune with me? How are they so in tune with like what's going on? Or how do they understand this facet of life? Why is that just ringing so true? You know? There's something about how you express words and wisdom that comes across very strongly as far as like a beautiful thing that people can really, really relate to. The thing with lion spirit, be generous of spirit, something that's coming through very strong for you is with being generous of spirit, people love your generosity. Whenever you're in that state of mind where you're feeling extra generous or you want to go above and beyond in sharing and caring, people love that about you. They find that super, super hot about you with the lion spirit. It's interesting. You have a regal way of presenting yourself. We see that again with the 9 of Pentacles and a little bit in Treasure Island. There is this kind of like regal nature, this royal nature to you where you're this kind of magnanimous giver and like presenter of like things to people. It's interesting. It's you're not only wealthy and kind of like living the good life and kind of like it's almost like people appreciate how no matter what kind of amount of money you have, which I'm seeing that you have a lot of money, you're actually very wealthy. Or if you're not now, you will be. There's something about you that just attracts abundance to you and lets you live a more and more beautiful and lavish lifestyle. Especially we have Treasure Island and the 9 of Pentacles here. People are attracted to that kind of like aura of like luxury that you give off. And being generous of spirit just shows that when you share that luxury with others, when you really include people in that kind of luxury of your life, not only with material goods, but with the spiritual component as well, with the high priestess and the poet as well. When you share that generosity, that beautiful, generous nature that you have, people just fold over backwards. They're like, whoa, this person's amazing. If they didn't find you attractive already, they find you like way attractive after that. Something else, we have a couple different things. We have the sun on this side and the tower on this side. And in a few of the readings, I've been reading these as like opposite sides to the same coin. And it's quite interesting. If you saw the last pile, it's interesting how today the themes kind of flow into one another as kind of like connectedness. But the sun card right here, on one side, you bring like happiness and joy and a positivity to your environment. And on the other side, you have the ability to kind of deconstruct yourself and remove these foundations that are kind of at the core. And it's interesting how they like interrelate too, because on one hand, you can break down these structures and foundations in your life and kind of destroy the foundation that you're like built for yourself, and that also fuels your happiness. It's like in order to keep things fresh, in order to keep things positive, that's what fuels this kind of sun energy. You're not worried about holding on to things for too long, or how do I put this? Yeah, there's this interesting element here with this 5 of Pentacles. I mean, this is the pessimistic card, if you think about it in the tarot. These like noticing the things that are empty instead of full. And that's one thing that's interesting with the tower revert or the tower upright. You really change your whole life and your mindset when you let yourself be a little pessimistic, when you let yourself be a little negative, when you let yourself be a little real, when you complain a little bit. It really alters the fabric of your existence and your life. And you get this tower moment where you're kind of crumbling and breaking apart and breaking down what's going on around you. But it leads to this beautiful, back around here through the self-love card, it leads to this sun card, this pure, unadulterated, that's the wrong word. Oh my gosh. Leads to this pure, sense of love, this kind of unfiltered, unbridled love that kind of comes through, you know? With the sun card, this is just happiness, positivity, joy. It really creates an aura of like positive emotions around yourself with others. Treasure Island, interestingly enough, just means that like with this little sea turtle, I see the sea turtle as one of your guides, and kind of like he always has this treasure for you every once in a while. Like as you live your life, this is something people find really attractive about you, is you just have the ability as you're living life to just stumble upon like a pile of treasure every once in a while, metaphorically speaking, of course. You just stumble upon this really positive situation or this really positive moment. And we see that comes from the sun card and the fact that you're keeping yourself happy and positive. So the interesting thing about this is that people are kind of like, they deserve this. You know, people look up to you and they're kind of like, okay, they deserve this positive, they deserve this happiness. No one really questions it too much. They're kind of thinking like, you know, and your guide kind of loves bringing you these little positive joys of like treasures, you know? Every once in a while, for example, you could receive like a large sum of money, or you could receive kind of like a compliment from someone or a little favor from someone here and there. And we all see that this ties back into your generous of spirit. It's like what you put out, you're getting back, right? What you present in your regal nature and how you present yourself to the world, you get this back in the Treasure Island card, where you have this, your spirit guide brings you these kind of gifts, or your angel, you can think of it as your angel as well. But you have these little indefinable kind of like fortunes that pop along your way, basically. Every once in a while, you kind of like get a little fortune, and it kind of builds upon this like nobility that you have with the lion spirit and the Nine of Pentacles. There's this sense of nobility and kind of like, regalness. I probably already said regalness, but regalness is coming through very strongly in the sense that you're just kind of have this sense of abundance and also a sense of independence. One thing we see here, interestingly enough, is with all of these cards, there's only one person on each card, and on the tower, there's two people falling out of the tower. Sometimes it's almost like you might have to like leave a person or a relationship a way to kind of make yourself more positive and happy. And we see that this actually has the positive effect of juicing your character up, juicing your personality up to make you more positive. Remember, you are the high priestess. She's a very individual person. With the black pillar and the white pillar, we also see that element here with the tower and the sun, where you have this dichotomy of like the dark side of your character and the light side of your character, right? We see that you have to process and go through the pessimistic side of yourself and really function through that, or work through that, to really destroy the kind of like structures that have been built up around you. And you can think of these structures as walls, kind of blocking you off from being happy, that are either in your own mind, that you've built up for yourself in your own mind, and breaking those down and reinventing yourself with a heavy dose of self-love, you know, at the core of it, brings you back to this sun energy, this very happy, positive energy. Once again, you're very intuitive, you're very spiritual, you're very in tune with the subconscious, the unconscious worlds. You're kind of like always in tune with it no matter what. So with the poet card, it's just almost like whatever you say, whatever you speak, whatever you experience, it is poetic in nature. It is beautiful in nature. It is kind of universally themed to the world around you. Something that's one of your power moves too, which is kind of coming through as a little side note that I don't know if you're fully aware of, is this self-love card. The more self-loving you are to yourself, the more you treat yourself nicely and kindly, the more other people will be attracted to you. It's almost as if like you put yourself as a high priority, other people put you as a high priority. Yeah. With 6 + 1, that equals 7, which is kind of like a lucky number 7. You might have fortuitous moments in your life, which I'm seeing here with the Treasure Island, with the universe kind of bringing you this kind of fortune every once in a while to like help supplement your state of being. You also just have a general kind of like lucky nature where things kind of just fall into your lap really easily and nicely. You know, you don't really have to work too hard at life, which is kind of nice. I definitely see, though, that you really do have some down moments where you get down on yourself, and this is where your human character comes into play, right? This is where people see your human side. So if people are some people, I think most people find you very attractive, but some people who kind of view you as kind of like lighthearted or superficial, once they see this side to you, they're like, whoa, this person really does have struggles. They really do experience things that are traumatic or difficult, or they live a heavy, like harsh, hard life. There's a hard underlying difficulty to their nature, basically, that kind of comes through. And so that's something that brings that more human quality out to you. Very similar to group 1 in this reading with, I think it was the citrine crystal. Interesting, smoky quartz and citrine, they grow together in the same matrix. Like when you go to like, I think it's like Brazil or the Congo or something, citrine grows right next to smoky quartz, which I think is kind of interesting. But yeah, that both piles had this sense of humanness that gets portrayed when people really get to know them. There's this sense of humanness. So even people that are like strangers that don't appreciate you, pretty much when people get in that inner circle, this is kind of like the seal, the deal that makes people attracted to you, makes you seem very hot and attractive to others, is this attitude of like, kind of like, almost like a disappointment that refuels into a positivity. You know, you really can turn a dark mood into a light mood and vice versa. Well, not vice versa, but you know what I'm saying? Like when you get to those dark moods, it's like you can really work through that stuff and deconstruct the structures in your mind to get that back to that positive sun attribute. Wow, very, very cool. I encourage you, if you haven't found some way to express yourself yet, a poet is all about self-expression, especially with the written language and the spoken, not just the spoken word, but it could be the written word, or even singers and stuff, songwriters. Something about you creating with words, with the high priestess, really brings people to a higher understanding of life and really develops their intuition as well. Cool, so that was it for pile 5. If you like the reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like this reading, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. We're always welcoming new subscribers here on Cody Tarot. It was a pleasure to read for you. With that said, we're going to move on to group 6 with the Amethyst, Chevron Amethyst. Hey, group 6. This is if you picked the Chevron Amethyst piece, kind of a cool stone right there. So let's get into your reading. I already pre-drew the oracle cards for you, and we're going to draw the tarot cards right now on camera. So let's get some tarot cards for what makes group 6 hot, what makes them attractive. Okay, we have the 9 of Swords. Card fell on the floor, but I'm going to take it. We have the 4 of Pentacles, 4 of Pentacles. Get a couple more. Oh, and then we have, this card flipped out, so I'm gonna take the Star. We'll take the top 2 cards here, Page of Swords and Page of Cups. Sorry, 7 of Cups, there's just not enough room for you on this table. Okay. We have a somewhat spiritual person on our hands here. So let's get into it. So with the Virgin card, let's start with the Virgin card. So for example, with maintaining symbolic purity of heart and spirit, one thing that people find really attractive about you is kind of like your innocence, the fact that you're almost untainted, that you kind of have this kind of pristine quality, that the world doesn't affect you, or the world doesn't have an effect over you. You have this kind of like quality of like not really experiencing too much, that you've kind of been isolated from things or people for a while, or maybe a certain portion of your life. You just have this kind of quality about you where people see that you don't really get affected by things in the world. One thing here with the Vulture Spirit and the 4 of Pentacles, nothing is wasted in the 4 of Pentacles. There is this element to you that you really don't waste any material resources or anything. You're kind of like the type of person who saves most of their wealth and materials for a rainy day, basically, and you don't waste anything. So you might even, if you spend frugally, which I'm not saying you do with the 4 of Pentacles here, it's actually the fact that you kind of keep your wealth to yourself, like to save money, like to build for the future. But also with that, you don't like to waste anything. Nothing is wasted. You basically hold on to your resources really tightly. You don't like to use them too much. And when nothing is wasted, when you do use them, you like to make sure every resource is used the most as efficiently as possible. Yeah, I'm seeing that you're very blessed. Something that's very attractive about you, that people find attractive about you, is that people, especially with the number 22 here, it also adds up to 4. I don't know if you can see the 22 right there. It also adds up to 4, and that's the same as this 4 of Pentacles. So people with, as far as the money is concerned, you know, people definitely see you as very blessed. You're very fortunate. And people really like that about you. They really like the fact that, like, you really are taken care of and you take care of yourself. Another thing people like about you that's kind of like something they find really hot is you're not afraid of change. You're not afraid of being different, acting different, moving to a new location in life, being somewhere new. You're actually you have kind of like a childlike attitude to anything new or different that comes into your life. So you have a way of like seeing the strange or unusual or anything that's like fresh with open eyes, basically, with the Page of Cups here and the Change card. You have this ability with the Page of Swords to be very cautious in your actions. People like that about you, that you really take your time to decide where you want to go with things, that you kind of have this ability to kind of like swing forward with some kind of like argument, or you have the ability to cut, like, in a way you have the ability to like swing and cut and kind of like create different like things in your environment, but you have this thing where you take your time in wanting to create those things. You hold back your thoughts or your opinions until you're absolutely sure it's the next right step to move forward. And then what we see here with the Star card is the stars. I always see the Star card as kind of connecting the dots, or kind of taking every step at every path to move forward. And I definitely see that you have this openness to the future, in that you're not afraid of the next step. Then you're not afraid of the next step in the process. And it really, over time, those stars are going to connect and create this kind of path or this future forward. You kind of see the next step and you're not afraid to take that next step. You definitely jump full force into the next step after you've weighed out all the pros and cons and calculated everything that's coming into that position. Another thing here that we see with the Nine of Swords, this could be in a card about anxiety or not being able to sleep well at night. And we see that next to the Blessed card, where they're kind of turning their away from each other. Something that people, first of all, find attractive about you. I know this sounds strange, but people find your anxiety attractive. They find the fact that you kind of have like, that you're worried a lot, or that you have like a lot of things on your mind. They find that attractive. They find it like almost endearing and human. And with the fact that it's a 9 card, that also can represent independence. And that's kind of showing me that you kind of keep these things to yourself, or you don't really show people the full force of how these things weigh on you. And that's really, something that is kind of like people wish you would open up more about, you know? It's interesting with the Page of Swords and the Star card. I'm seeing how there's clouds in the Page of Swords, and then there's a clear sky with shining stars on the other hand. If you can imagine this at nighttime, when things are at their darkest, especially when you have this anxiety card right here, where it's all about being at night with the dark colors in the background and having those nightmares of what's going on at night, basically. With the Page of Swords here, you see the clouds in the sky, and you see how this, like, the Page of Swords has to be hesitant and not move forward when there's clouds, because they can't really think straight. They kind of have to wait till those clouds pass in order to kind of get to the clear sky to see the next path ahead. And that's something people really like about you, is that you don't strike out blindly. That's the thing. You don't strike out when you can't see the next step. But when you can see the next step, you're full force in it, ready and moving into action. I think that's another reason why you like change so much, why people like things changing in your life. When you do change things up and do different things in your life and surprise, you have these things where you surprise people and you have the universe surprising you. I definitely see that people really appreciate this fact that change kind of fluctuates around you at kind of like a beautiful pace. You know, things happen to change right at the right moment for you, right when the universe is like blessing you with something, or there's a synchronicity about it. If you're thinking a certain thought, there might be something happening in your environment that has the correct change for that correct thought at that right time. And people like that about you. They like seeing how you interplay with the changes in your environment, how you kind of like are affected by those changes, and how you, how do I put this? And how you also affect the change around you, how you interact with that change. Yeah, there's something very pure about you, very peaceful about you, and that's something that people really like, is you have this like purity about you, or this attitude of like you're kind of untouched, or you're not really, it's almost like an innocent nature. But we also see you have a strong practical mindset with the vulture spirit, nothing is wasted, and the Four of Pentacles. There's also another element with the Four of Pentacles where he's isolated and away from the city. So you might have like an introverted side to yourself that people really find attractive about you. There's something about the fact that you're kind of like building for yourself, and kind of, in a way, it could be considered selfish, but people are seeing that they like this attitude of you. They like the fact that you have this kind of selfish side that builds for things for the future and kind of holds things to yourself. Meanwhile, you're not afraid to fully reveal yourself into the next part of your life and make that next step into the future. Yeah, it's interesting. People like the fact that you keep your anxieties separate from your happiness. With the Blessed card here and the Nine of Swords here, they're turned away from each other. She's blessed and she's praying and she's looking out this way, and the anxiety guy is looking this way and turning his way away that way. So they like that you keep these things separate. You don't keep them like collected in your body, basically intermingling and stuff. You keep them distinct in separate categories. The moments you feel anxiety, you keep separate from the moments that you feel happy. You kind of know how to compartmentalize your moods, so to speak, in order to create kind of like to kind of keep your blessings coming in, basically. You know where to like put in your happiness with the Star card and the hope and stuff. With the traditional way the Star card's represented is by hope of the future and stuff. You know how to make your happiness and hope work to your advantage. You know how to compartmentalize your anxiety. You're actually pretty good at managing your emotions, but it's interesting. We don't have too many emotional things except for the Page of Cups. It could be about anxiety and stuff, but the Nine of Swords is about logic. It is about the fact that like you're kept up at night by your thoughts, by your overactive mind, by the logical things that you're processing in your head. So if you find that you have a block with that, I definitely see with the Page of Swords being like cautious and moving forward. It might be because there's clouds in the sky. So apply this to your mind as well. And people really like that you're cautious with things, you know? So there's an element here where if you're even cautious with your anxieties, where you kind of like wait to experience them. And I wouldn't say experience them is the right word. If you wait to deal with them until the sky is clear, when you finally find a clear patch of the sky, basically, and you wait to deal with your anxieties then, it's almost like you can drop the sword, you can let down the sword, you can let down the anxiety, you can release it from your inner being, basically. With Page of Cups, like I mentioned before, this is the only really emotional watery sign. We do have water in the Star card, which indicates that your actions have emotional components to them. And the Page of Cups, interestingly enough, here is all about synchronicities and surprises and basically having a youthful attitude to anything thrown your way with that is change, basically. Something that's coming through very strong is this turquoise color. People might be attracted to you when you wear a color similar to this, when you wear kind of like a turquoisey, kind of like bluish green type of color. You know, the baby blue color in the Virgin card's coming through strong, but I'm definitely seeing this color as being one of your colors that you might want to wear to like increase your attractiveness. Yeah, it's interesting because I'm not getting too many details about the exact process to help you release anxieties. The only hint I'm really getting, and maybe it'll make sense to you guys when you're watching this, is that with these anxieties at night, wait till the sky is clear, wait till the clouds pass, and then work on your anxieties. It might actually benefit you too to work on these anxieties when the sky is actually clear in a physical way. So when the sky is actually clear and you can see the stars and the planets, it might give you greater clarity onto what's bothering you. Looking up at the stars might also help you figure out what's bothering you. Especially with the stars and the clouds and stuff, people are really attracted to you because you're affected by the weather. You're affected by life and the experiences around you, the changes in the weather patterns, the changes in the celestial bodies of the stars, and the changes of the different like clouded like kind of things going on in your life. Yeah, there is an element of waiting till the sky is clear before taking the next step forward, waiting till the path is clear. And I definitely see you do that with ease. And that's something people really like about you, is that you definitely only make the next move when it's perfectly the right time and position to make that next move. And you always see the next step. You always see the next place you need to go to make the thing happen for you. Yeah, and also people, they like that you're not frivolous with your resources. They like that you like kind of keep things contained. You really take care of the fact that like you take care of the necessities and kind of keep the rest for a rainy day, basically. And yeah, back to the Virgin card, just they love your innocent nature. They love the fact that you have this kind of like innocent, kind of like nature about you where you kind of don't know exactly what's going on in the world at any given time. You kind of have a naivete about you. So that was your reading for group 6 if you picked the Amethyst Chevron piece. If you like the reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like this reading, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. We're always welcoming new subscribers here at Cody Tarot. I really enjoyed reading for you, and that was the last reading for today. So I will bid you guys adieu. See you in the next pick a card. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.